I'm 78 years old, and what I'm about to share with you will probably make you uncomfortable. Everything you've been told about success, about happiness, about how to live your life, most of it is completely wrong. And here's the worst part. The people who should be warning you, your parents, your mentors, society itself, they're either keeping this from you or they haven't figured it out themselves yet. Looking back at the man I was then, I realize how quickly time truly passes. That house meant everything to us. You see, I spent 56 years of my life believing the same lies you're probably believing right now. I thought I understood how the world worked. I had the career, the house, the respect. But at 56 years old, something happened that destroyed everything I thought I knew. And what I've learned in the 22 years since has completely transformed how I see life, death, and what actually matters. But before I tell you what happened, you need to understand something. I'm not making this video to brag or to sound wise. I'm making this because my time is running out. And there are things you desperately need to hear before it's too late. Not for me, for you. Looking back at 2000, I was so busy building a career, I almost forgot to build a life. At 56, I had what the doctors called a cardiac event. That's medical speak for my heart trying to quit on me. I was in a strategy meeting talking about growth projections for the next quarter when the room started tilting sideways. Looking back at this moment, we were so sure of ourselves. Everything seemed possible. Next thing I remember, I'm waking up in a hospital bed with tubes in my arms and my wife sobbing in the corner. The doctors told me I was lucky. Lucky. I had just stared death in the face and they called it luck. But you know what? They were absolutely right. Because lying in that hospital bed for 3 days, with nothing but time to think, I realized something that terrified me to my core. I had been living my entire life on autopilot. I wasn't actually living. I was just going through motions, checking boxes, trying to meet expectations that weren't even mine. And here's what haunts me still, all these years later. If I had died that day, if my heart had stopped for good, what would I have actually left behind? A nice house that someone else would live in, a retirement fund that I never got to use. June 1985. I worked hard for that burgundy beauty. Felt like the king of the world. Let me tell you the biggest lie you're telling yourself right now. I have time. I'll do that later.
When I'm older, I'll finally start living the life I want. I see people in their 20s, 30s, even 40s.
And they're all saying the exact same thing I said. When I make more money, then I'll be happy. When I get that next promotion, then I'll finally relax. When the kids graduate, then I'll travel. Let me save you 56 years of heartbreak with one brutal truth. That day never arrives. You know why? Because the goalposts never stop moving. You get the promotion, and suddenly you need the corner office. You make 6 figures, and suddenly you need 7. You're always chasing something just slightly out of reach. And before you can blink, you're 78 years old, wondering where your entire life disappeared to. I did exactly this. I spent 35 years climbing a corporate ladder, only to discover when I finally reached the top that it was leaning against the wrong building entirely. I remember this day. Everyone said I had finally made it. If only success felt the way they told you it would. And you can't climb back down and start over. Time doesn't work that way. Here's something nobody tells you when you're young, and it's going to sound crazy. Success is a terrible life goal. And I'm saying this as someone who achieved every single goal I set for myself. I made partner, I bought the dream house, I had the corner office with my name on the door, I had the respect of everyone in my industry. And you know what? None of it mattered at all. You achieve your goal, and for maybe 48 hours, you feel incredible. Then that feeling fades completely. You're back to baseline. Now you need a new goal, a bigger achievement, more validation from others. It's an endless hamster wheel. I had a close friend, actually my best friend from college, who died 4 years ago at 73. Worked 70, sometimes 80-hour weeks his entire adult life. Built a multi-million-dollar consulting business from nothing. I remember this day perfectly. June 18th, 2010. The last time we were all together. Never took a real vacation. Kept promising he'd slow down next year. Always next year. Next year came as a massive stroke. At his funeral, his oldest son stood up and said something that still echoes in my head. My father was a successful man by every measure society uses, but I barely knew him. Is that the legacy you're building right now? Your biggest regrets won't be about the things you tried and failed at. They'll be about all the things you never even attempted. I don't stay awake at night thinking about failed business deals or bad investments. Those don't matter anymore. You know what keeps me awake at 78 years old? The trip to New Zealand I never took because I was too busy with work. The relationship with my younger brother that I let fall apart over something stupid. The novel I always wanted to write but never started. All those evenings I stayed late at the office.
We shared the same space, breathed the same air, yet we existed in different worlds. I regret the silence between us.
Instead of having dinner with my kids. These are the things that eat at you. The missed moments, the roads you never walked down, the love you never expressed because you were afraid, the risks you never took because they seemed irresponsible, the people you love, your parents, your siblings, your closest friends. You think you have unlimited time with them. You absolutely don't. And one day, without warning, that time will just run out. My father passed away when I was 47. We had what you'd call a complicated relationship. And I was always too busy, too stressed, too focused on my career to really work on fixing it. I kept thinking we'd have that conversation eventually, when I had more time, when work calmed down. We never got that chance. Massive heart attack, gone within hours. And you know my single biggest regret in life? All those Sunday afternoons I didn't call him. All those times I was too tired to drive over for a simple dinner. All the small, ordinary moments I let slip through my fingers forever. There won't always be more time. That's the lie. After my heart attack, I made radical changes. I stepped way back from work, started saying no to things that didn't actually matter, started saying yes to things I'd been putting off for decades. In these past 22 years, I've learned more about actually living than I did in the previous 56 combined. And what I learned is embarrassingly simple. What actually matters is time with people you genuinely love. Work that feels meaningful to you personally, not to society. Experiencing things, not owning things. creating real memories, being fully present instead of always thinking about the next thing. I know it sounds simple. When I was your age, I would have rolled my eyes at this. Sure, old man, but I have bills to pay. I have responsibilities. And yes, you absolutely do. And I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow. I'm saying stop sacrificing what truly matters for what doesn't matter at all. Here's a question I want you to sit with, and I want you to answer it honestly.
Not how you think you should answer it. If you died tomorrow, would you be genuinely satisfied?
With the life you've lived so far. Not would people be impressed at your funeral. Not did you achieve enough by society's standards, just would you personally, deep down, be satisfied? If your honest answer is no, then what exactly are you waiting for? What are you currently doing with your precious time that's so important that you're willing to gamble your one irreplaceable life on it?
We thought technology would bring us closer, but the cycle continues, and the distance remains the same.
I'm 78 years old. If I'm lucky, maybe I have 10 more years. Maybe 15 if I'm incredibly blessed, probably less. And I'm completely okay with that reality now. Because these last 22 years have been the richest, most meaningful years of my entire life. Not because I made more money, I actually made less. Not because I achieved more, I achieved less by conventional standards. But because I finally started living with intention, really appreciating each day. But because I finally started living with intention, really appreciating each day, prioritizing what actually matters. I've traveled to places I always dreamed of seeing. I've rebuilt and deepened relationships with my children and 3 grandchildren. I've pursued hobbies I put off for decades. I've rebuilt and deepened relationships with my children and 3 grandchildren. I've pursued hobbies I put off for decades. I've forgiven people I held grudges against for years. I've said I love you thousands of times when I used to say it maybe once a year. I'm happier now at 78, with maybe a decade left out if I'm fortunate, than I was at 35 when I thought I had forever ahead of me. That's the cruel irony. When you truly understand that time is limited, you finally start actually living.
You stop wasting it on nonsense. You stop postponing joy. You stop waiting for the right time that never comes.
You have a choice right now, today, in this moment. You can keep living exactly how you're living, chasing success, putting off happiness, telling yourself you'll make time for what matters later. Or you can wake up. You can realize that time is running out faster than your brain can comprehend. And the life you're waiting to live needs to start immediately, not next month, not next year, now. I can't make this choice for you. Nobody can. But I can tell you with absolute certainty, you don't want to be 78 years old, looking back across the decades, wishing you'd made different choices. When you still had time. Don't waste 56 years learning what I'm trying to teach you right now. Learn from my mistakes. Live with real intention. Prioritize what genuinely matters. Stop waiting for someday, because someday is actually today. It always has been. It always will be. If this message resonates with you at all, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment telling me what you're going to do differently starting today. Subscribe, because I have more hard truths to share, and honestly, I don't have much time left to share them. The clock is ticking for all of us. What are you going to do with whatever time you have left?